this might be the biggest. I mean, Donald Trump has done a lot of shitty things to the world, but this might have been the thing that the most terrible thing he's done is that we were supposed to do a show with Sloan at the Outer Harbor in Buffalo this summer. And I had come up with this idea that we would make a giant, Dave in the past has made these giant lights to put behind us. And I had the idea that it would say Sloan, but it would say SLOWN. And when they were on, it would be fully lit. And when we were on, there would be a foot pedal we could kick and the S and N would go out and it would just say low.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump has deprived us of that.
Oh, so pause right there because I'm talking to Andrew Scott. It's only, a month ago or so. And we had this exchange, and this is going to lead to a big question. Has Sloan reconsidered playing, some of these border towns like Buffalo?
Sloan is one thing. I'm not going to the United States for the foreseeable future.
Well, you're 25% of Sloan.
Yeah, but I can't hold anyone else back from doing whatever one needs to do. But I'm personally not going to the States for minimum 4 years.
So basically, Andrew says as long as Trump is president, he's not crossing that border, like for professional reasons, personal reasons. I'm wondering, what do you think of that? But also, whether you have any issues in Lowest of the Low with going to play for a crowd in Buffalo.
Well, if we had any issues, they certainly would not be with the crowd in Buffalo.
No.
I mean, we've had nothing but great experiences down there, and those are wonderful people. But I think, the way Andrew described it was I think quite astute. I mean, he said, these are your neighbors, and you may be very fond of your neighbors, but if they can't control their dogs,
that's exactly what he says. Control your dogs.
Control your dogs, America.
That's a very astute way of putting that.
It's a very astute way of putting that. Yeah.
And we sort of did what happened at the beginning of COVID. Lawrence was the canary in the coal mine for COVID and kept saying to us, maybe we should consider this and we should stop. We've got some shows coming up. Maybe we should cancel some of those shows. And of course, like a band of brothers, we all sort of jumped on him like, oh boy, okay, big, we were all sort of puffing up our chests and making fun of Lawrence. And then,
I'm used to this, by the way.
But of course he was right? And it very quickly dawned on everybody that he was completely correct. And I think about this, I was the canary saying like, yeah, we could probably get over, or maybe we would get hassled. And I'm not saying that any of us are going to El Salvador, but I am saying, that there are horror stories getting bigger every day. And something as simple as I tried to cross once as a solo performer, and there was some kind of confusion in the computer where somebody else's rap sheet got hooked up with my information, and that person was supposed to have been a drug runner and a gun smuggler from Quebec. And it took me an hour and something to get that unraveled, and they eventually said, "Sir, it was a human error." And I said, "Oh, really? Was it?" But nowadays, I mean, especially the fentanyl nonsense and everything that they are talking about, our pound and a half of fentanyl that's crossed the border, something like that could get you a lot of, hassle and trouble by accident, And plus there are things that are not accidents that, on our socials and stuff like that are not, do not shine. We're from the lunatic left. So
yeah, you're outspoken, and
we're absolutely unapologetic purveyors of the woke mind virus. Like, so there's just no,
that's how I got it.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
It's airborne.
So will Lowest of the Low be crossing the border anytime soon?